are in our 13th week. We are still in Alaska, and I will be spotlighting the disappearance of David Borer. David 8 was last seen on the Parks Highway near Willow, Alaska in April of 1989. Nobody's exactly sure what his destination was, but they knew something was wrong when he didn't return home that evening. Despite investigators' quick response and search efforts, there's been no trace of David since that April day, and his case remains unsolved. David was a first grader at Willow Elementary School and was described as a very independent child who once hitchhiked 30 miles to Wasilla by himself. In April of 1989, David's parents were separated and he lived with his mother, 4 siblings, in a 6-bedroom cabin on 10 acres in Willow. On April 26, 1989, David asked his 13-year-old sister, Tiana, to go outside and play with him before dinner. Tiana was in the kitchen making a snack and her favorite show was coming on, so she told David she would join him after her show. A half an hour later, Tiana's show was over and Micah, their 12-year-old brother, and Tiana headed down to the river, which they called the beach, to meet up with David, but David wasn't there. It started to rain again. It had been raining off and on that week, so Tiana and Micah decided to head back to the house. When Tiana and Micah returned home, it was about 6:15 p.m., and their mother Linda came outside and told them it was time for dinner and asked where David was. That's when they told her they didn't know where David was. David's family would spend the next hour walking through the woods calling his name. Then they returned home and began calling neighbors, and nobody could account for David. And that's when they decided to reach out to the Alaska State Troopers around 7:15 p.m. Trooper Coffey arrived at David's house by 7:20 p.m. and immediately went down to the river to look for David. He noted that there was no broken ice and there was no indications or signs of someone slipping or falling in. Trooper Coffey then called in a helicopter and search canines, and they were all brought to the river within 45 minutes. They set up and coordinated an effort to canvass the riverbanks, the highway, the woods, and a mile within radius of David's home. They were able to search with good visibility till almost 11 p.m. that night. The helicopter scanned the river searching for additional breaks in the ice, but did not detect any. Linda stayed out till 2 a.m. walking the woods calling David's name. She went home to rest up again, and at 6 a.m. was walking the woods and searching for David once again. The search dogs were able to track David's scent to the highway, but the dogs lost the scent after that. A witness would recall seeing David walking on mile marker 82 on Parks Highway, 11 miles north of Willow, around 5 p.m. Investigators began looking into the possibility that David was most likely abducted while walking on the highway. David was known to hitchhike periodically leading up to his disappearance, and investigators couldn't rule out that he met with foul play. David's mother and siblings spent months handing out flyers, sending letters to local newspapers, and searching for David along with the community that got involved. Tragedy would strike for David's family a little over a year later when his mother, Linda, gave birth to another son who would sadly pass away in an accident at just 4 weeks old. At the time of David's disappearance, he was 8 years old, 4 feet, and around 55 to 65 pounds. He was described as a Caucasian male with blonde hair, blue eyes, and his front teeth protruded slightly. He has a scar under his right eye and above his left eye, and he is left-handed. He was last seen wearing a red coat, green jeans, green plaid shirt, and Sorel winter boots with felt inserts. Investigators are treating David's case as an abduction and are asking if you have any information in his disappearance to call the Alaska State Troopers at 907-733-2256. Please keep sharing David's story. His family deserves to know what happened to him that day. Thank you so much for taking the time to get to know David, and don't forget, when you see those missing and murdered posts online, hit share, because every time you share a face, we do get closer to solving a case, and I will see you all back here for another day in Alaska tomorrow.